one of the things that is prominently featured is the new theatrical lighting, the Amira camera, which is designed with documentarians in mind. And when you think about documentaries, you think about Buddy Squires. Buddy is with us today. His list of credits is so impressive that we really had to print it out to get all of them. But you know him for documentaries like the Civil War, the national parks, the war, jazz, Ethel. He is an Emmy Award-winning, Academy Award nominated, I must say, world-renowned cinematographer. Please welcome on my left here, Buddy Squires. And sitting right next to Buddy is our longtime colleague, John Power, director of photography, publisher, Film and Digital Times, and as it turns out, longtime friends with Buddy with many long experiences in the field with a variety of shooting situations and hopefully with a variety of Arri cameras on occasion. The Amira camera, not all that long ago, was put in the hands of Buddy out of our New York office with the idea to shoot some footage and to see what the camera would do with Buddy. And we have some footage to show you that Buddy shot on the East Coast. Now, John, are we starting with the footage or are we starting with the... Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to John. He's just going to ask a few questions for Buddy, and then we'll show you the footage. John will be leaving the presentation a little bit early because he's going to another presentation, but that will be in the Q&A portion of the presentation. So, John, I give it over to you.
Thank you, Bill. I've known Bill as long as I've known Buddy. And first I'm going to tell a tall tale about the story gets more and more embellished as the years go by. But I think the first time I met Buddy, or maybe the second time I met Buddy, I had been doing documentaries and got my big break to do a feature in Thailand. And we were in the infamous Golden Triangle in the north of Thailand and Chiang Rai on the border of Burma at the time, Laos and Thailand. And we were, it was a big Hollywood production, and we had about 500 Thai troops with us to protect us, because this was one of those dangerous parts of Southeast Asia. And we're filming away, and the Thai troops are really tough guys, and they're playing, for amusement, they're playing catch with real grenades, just to show how tough they are. And with the pins in, luckily, we hope. And so, so we're filming away for weeks in this really remote area, and we saw what's over there, and they said, oh, that's Burma. And we said, well, can we go there and film? We're a film crew, can we go there? I said, no, you can't go there. That's even more dangerous than where you are now. It's ruled by this infamous warlord, Kun Sa. And we said, okay, we better not go there. And then out of the jungle one day walks this young man, Buddy Squires, with his 16 SR1, just alone by himself. And we said, I knew who Buddy was. I knew him. And I said, Buddy, what are you doing here? Where are you doing? He said, oh, I did an interview with this warlord. His name was Kun Sa. Probably the most dangerous guy on the planet. And here's Buddy to tell the tale. So
I'm still here. And that camera served me very, very well. It was just a real warhorse. It was a great camera. I loved it. It was my introduction to being able to take the camera anywhere and do anything with it. And I've gone through a whole range of cameras since then. And ever since the Alexa came out, and I got a note from my friend Charlie Davidson, who was at Arri at the time. He said, "Gotta come check out this camera. It's really great. It's really beautiful." I'm like, this camera way too big. Not a camera that's useful for what we do. Beautiful, great, see you later. Build me a Super 16 version of it. He's like, well, we'll see. And I've been waiting, and as we all know, the 5Ds ushered in this whole realm of 35 sensor cameras being used in documentary work, but I was never satisfied with a whole range of things, with the imagery, with the mechanics of the various camera systems that came out. I found everything was kind of a sensor with a lens mounted on it in a box, but nothing else. And I've stayed out of that fray. And to this day, most of my work is still done in 2/3 inch cameras because that works for what I do. It's got the portability, the lightweight, the fast moving. But I've been bugging everyone for a long time. Let's get a documentary camera that works. And I heard about this camera as everyone else did a year or so ago when it was first announced. I'm like, great, when do I see it? And I'm like, well, it'll be a little while. I started really bugging Pete Abel in January because I was due to go to Vietnam for a very large series that Ken Burns is doing on the war, 10 hours or so. And I said, can I take him there and test it in the perfect place? And I'm like, well, we don't have a camera that we think we should send that far. So eventually there was some discussion of getting me a camera to test, and I've been traveling a lot. Finally, I get a call, an email from Gunther on a Saturday saying, I think I might be able to get you a camera on Monday. Think you could shoot something? I'm like, I don't know. See what I can pull together. And at the time, I was with my 7-year-old son, who was taking a skateboarding class with a great skateboarder that I know. He's actually a professional boarder and male model, all-around cool guy. And I said, hey, Adam, think we might be able to do a little test footage with you? He's like, yeah. I said, how about Monday afternoon? He said, sure. So we made arrangements to meet on Monday afternoon at about 1:30. 2 of my assistants agreed to come with me to help haul things. We spent half an hour, 45 minutes with Gunther just figuring out the layout of the camera. And then my 2 assistants, myself and Gunther, head off on foot with a camera, tripod, a couple of lenses that were kind of scrounged from everywhere. I think Abelson donated an Optimo 40-45-120. There was a Cabrio 19-9 on the camera. And Gunther stole a 14 Ultra Prime from CSC, I think. And we went off and made a little movie. So this was 5 hours or so, 7 hours of unplanned, let's just see what this camera can do.
So spoiler alert, and then we're going to roll the footage, but the spoiler alert is when I saw it, I thought it was probably one of the best demos I've ever seen. It was done pretty much in one day, half a day practically. What you're going to see, we'll talk about it afterwards, but I think it might be interesting to say from the get-go that there was no steady cam. It was all done handheld and tripod. And any other technical?
No, I mean, we really just, I wanted to see what the camera could do and how quickly I could move between different styles of working. So I specifically wanted to do a lot of handheld work. I also wanted to try out the slow motion features. I've been frustrated with a lot of cameras and how awkward it is to switch back and forth between different modes. I certainly wanted to see how well it focused, because that's really the biggest problem with large sensor cameras in documentary work is, out of focus footage. It's a huge, huge problem, and it's one thing if you're making your own indie film, but if you're working for hire for someone else, unless they tell you otherwise, you better deliver the footage in focus. And it's really, I don't want to undersell how critical that is, and the ability to work with a very shallow depth of field that's inherent in a Super 35 sensor. And really, there was nothing was plotted out except that I knew that my kids' skate class started at 3 in the afternoon at a park on Horatio Street, which was walking distance from Able. So we gathered, I do want to just give a shout out to Pete Able and everybody there who just worked so hard to make all these coordinations. Continued input and effort. But anyway, this little something was thrown together. The rest of the backstory is not much. We finished shooting about 11 in the evening. We got back to my place. We downloaded the footage, and then Vincent said, so what do we do with this? I was like, I don't know. And I was going out of the country, I think, to either France or Israel or both the next week. And Pete said, well, let me see what I can do. And he talked to some good people over at Harbor Pictures who agreed to edit it for us virtually without any input. They just kind of grabbed, the music is a fairly stock soundtrack, but they just grabbed something to give it some energy. They came in, did a cut in about a day and a half, 2 days. I came in and spent a few hours giving a few notes, and I came in for a little bit of color correct. So what you see is not a highly polished commercial production. It's really pretty much thrown together. But we'll see if you like how the pro looks.
Let's take a look.
Let's run it.